You may turn your back on God, but God's never going to turn his back on you, and he's still going to chase you down. I use the analogy, God made a promise to you at your baptism that he's going to be with you no matter wherever you go. Now you may decide that you want to reject God, but guess who's going to be right next door? Who's going to be right next to you? God, because he didn't reject you. Mm-hmm. So my question is, where are you dragging Jesus these days? Because he's with you. And would Jesus be there? If you knew physically Jesus, would he be going, you're going, you may turn your back on God, but God doesn't turn his back on you.
And I never gave it a thought until you said you could be dragging him with you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of scary.
Well, I just came upon that about 2 months ago.
Oh.
And I was just reading something, and I went, dragging Jesus. Yeah. Does Jesus really want to go where I want to go?
Yeah.
Remember? And I'll say, Paul wanted to drag Jesus up here. Nothing wrong with that. People needed to hear that, but Jesus is going, but I don't want to go there yet. Mm-hmm. I want to go over here. Mm-hmm. I want to follow me instead of you telling me what we're doing. I want you to listen to where I want to take you. And that's hard sometimes.
Yes.
Because sometimes we think we know what's best and frustration. So, yeah, I use that with teenagers dragging. Mm-hmm. I said, you're dragging Jesus places where he doesn't want to be. Mm-hmm. And that visual,
sure. Yes.
It's like, and they go, I remember as a kid, my parents dragging me.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You're literally taking Jesus by the hand, even though you don't think you are, and you're taking him to places. You think he's happy to be there? Probably not. Or you can drag Jesus to good places too.
Right.
I mean,
sure.
But that's usually, I just say, it's easier to follow him. It goes much better when you do that, things like that. So
Sunday in your sermon when you said, "Don't let me do anything stupid," I think that is. I've thought of that every morning now. I think because we say something stupid or we just do something.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was really good.
Well, it's how I have a mind of a 5th grader, so.
But that's why we can relate.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
exactly.
You think like we think.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So I still pray that prayer. Lord, help me to listen, and then don't let me do anything stupid. Of course, in the end of the day, I can go, that was pretty stupid. Yeah. And the Lord's going, and you dragged me here. I'm sorry. But learning how to do that as well.
Say, who decided that these readings
would be the ones? That's always a good question. There's a group of people, I like to call them they.
They. A long time ago?
Well, some of them was a long time ago. Some of the, and I'll say the church, the church, I don't know, these very wise people who said, we want, we're going to go through the church year and we're going to assign different readings or different themes for all these different Sundays of the church year with the hope that, if you come to church all the time, you'll hear these stories or these themes that go together. Now, the series that we use is the 3-year series. So it's divided up over 3 years. The first year is called Series A. The second year is called Series B. Can you figure out what the third?
Wow, I think.
C. Very original.
Oh,
yeah. With that, now the Roman Catholic Church has, they will use a lot of these same readings. I mean, kind of the same. They might add a verse in the beginning or at the end or eliminate. I mean, they kind of do all those things. But it was just kind of these, and with that. Now, with the 3-year series, obviously, Series A, the primary gospel is Matthew. Series B is Mark. Series C is Luke. And then John is divided up over the 3 years. And so during the season of Easter, we get a lot from John, so we have that. And then for the rest of the year, we read through the different books. Like during this time of Easter, we read through the book of Revelation. When Easter's done, I'm not quite sure, but we'll read through Galatians and Ephesians and Philippians. I mean, we'll read through the letters of the New Testament. And then the Old Testament readings, really, they try to match them up with the gospel readings. So those themes would be the same. So that's how they divide it. I don't know who they are, but they are important. At least that they did all that. Now, you might remember growing up as a kid, we did the 1-year series for many, many years. That was the old, well, you had the green hymnals here. I remember it was the old red hymnal. TLH, Lutheran hymnal.
We had that at my church.
Right, we used to have the red hymnal where I grew up. And there was a 1-year series, so you read the same Bible readings so much so that my grandma could go, oh, this is the 13th Sunday after Trinity, the gospel reading will be. She already knew what the readings were because she had went through them. In the 3-year series, the idea or the thought is if you come to church every Sunday for 3 years, you will hear about 75% of the Old Testament read, 90% of the epistle, and hopefully about 100% of the gospel. That you would hear that, all the Bible. So it was more quantity. The 1-year series was more quality and dealing more with doctrinal or basic, I wouldn't even say basic, but biblical teachings. In justification and sanctification and baptism and
So
all those.
in 3 years then, the 6th Sunday of Easter will be the same?
Exactly.
After the,
Yes.
it would just revolve?
Yep, 6 years from now, in 2022, if we still have this class, you can bring out your note. My mom will bring her notes. And I'll say something, she'll go, but you said this.
Yeah, right.
It seems to be opposite of what this is. So that we will, I'm entering into my 24th year of being a pastor. So if you do the math, every 3 years we go through the reading, so I will have went through
8 times.
many times, 6, 7 times.
8.
8.
Times 3 is 24.
And I'll go back and read some of my old sermons, and I'll read them going,
I'd say that.
what was I thinking about? What was that all? It has nothing to do with whatever.
So, to your knowledge, when you were growing up, was it the 3-year series?
It moved when we got Lutheran worship in 1982, 1983. We went, I know we made the shift from 1 year to the 3 year. Because that was, the Lutheran worship was, when that hymnal came out, was based upon the 3-year series. Now, the Roman Catholic Church in Vatican II, so the late 60s, 1969, they went from a 1 year to the 3 year. And so a lot of liturgical churches, Lutherans, Episcopalians, Anglicans, a lot of these that follow the church year, they started to make that shift from the 1 year to the 3 year with the thought, you'll hear more of the Bible being read, which is nothing wrong with that. Or there are some churches that have gone back to the 1 year now, which is fine. When I was at the seminary, he said we were taught the 1 year series. I got notes from the seminary, and he goes, if you think about it, that you could do a 4-year rotation with it, because you could preach on the gospel lesson 1 year, and the epistle lesson 1 year, and the Old Testament reading, and the psalm. So you could make that happen. So.
Okay, help me understand something. John is known as the youngest apostle of the 4 main apostles?
Yes, of the gospel writers.
The gospel
Yes.
writers, okay.
Probably.
And based on the teachings that I'm seeing, you mentioned that John, he is one that has the most visions, or he sees I mean,
Yeah, well, he's the one that records them.
what
Yes.
he actually sees.
Right, the
So
book of Revelation.
so the other writers really didn't have as
Well,
many as John did.
right, we believe by the time that John has the visions and writes the book of Revelation, he's the only of the original 11 that are still alive. That the rest of them will have been martyred by the time we get to this point.
I see.
So John is the only one that dies of natural causes. The rest are all martyred, early on. And it's kind of interesting that how they're all, Peter was crucified upside down because he didn't deem himself worthy enough to be crucified the same way that his Lord was. Andrew was crucified on an X cross. That's where you have the St. Andrew's cross. It's kind of some were beheaded, some were boiled in oil, some were, it's kind of, some of them, one was, I like to say, was flayed. I mean, they just opened them up. So, I mean, some of these are pretty gruesome, and how they died. I mean, I would think beheading would be the most merciful one, because it's done. I mean, the rest were very painful, and they all died in different parts of the world. So they did exactly what Jesus wanted: go and make disciples of all nations, and they went out. Initially they didn't go, but eventually they all went. So you have in India, you have a church. There's a church in India that lays its claim to St. Thomas. That it was there. So that you kind of Andrew, he's the patron saint of Scotland. They say Andrew made his way up there. I mean, you do have all these. Of course, a couple places make claim to apostles, and they're not even close to each other. So, and make claim that they have the bones, whatever, with that. But they did go out. I mean, history and tradition has it that they. I mean, we got the Book of Acts, but you get the second act of the Book of Acts. It's Paul. I mean, you don't hear much about the other apostles. Second, starting in chapter 12, it's the Paul show, and he's doing that. So, that makes sense. Yes. Well, let's close. Yes.
This is not with this, but yesterday morning, I said my prayers, and they're all important, but I was really, down about these. And I was done praying, and I opened my blind, and there was that rainbow.
Oh, you saw it.
And I thought, okay, I know that's the sign of there's not going to be a flood,
Right.
but to me that was
Yeah.
an answer to my
Right.
prayer.
Oh yeah. I think God does that. I think he will every once in a while. And I say you gotta open your eyes. You gotta, someone said, well, that was just a coincidence. That wasn't. No.
No, not
Even if it was, there's no such thing as a coincidence. It's Rule 39. You can't, that, in dealing with that. So, but yeah. All right. Let's close with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Enjoy the rest of your...
Rainy day.
Yeah.
This looks like it's stopped.
Oh, I'm gonna go get it.
I don't remember over there.
What'd you say? It looks like it's stopped.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, I've got photos.
Actually, let's put our little light out.
That's cash.
Who?
We had March 20.
Me, sir.
Every place.
Yes. fact, I know, in fact, I
That's
think
no,
it's
this is fine.
yes. Yes, so it's a knee replacement. And I'm assuming a total knee replacement. I'm assuming a total knee replacement. I mean, it usually that's how they do it.
I just thought we should got by with one.
So far, yeah. But I would, I usually done by before 10:30 at night.
That's an awful little model.
I wasn't even home, yeah.
Yesterday, I called the garbage, the one they started next door to my first. Oh, yeah. So then I looked at my email.
Well, have a good day.
All right, plan on it.
Yeah, she gave me that.
Got a pretty jacket.
Put that in the bag.
It's the colors. Yes.
You know, I found it, I have.
I know.
I guess we could sit here all day.
And something.
Pastor, I had questions about Barb Crowder.
Yes,
I sat with her in church
Yes.
last Saturday night.
Yes.
a week ago.
yes.
So,
She's coming to church. I went to go visit with her, and the plan is this, that if she comes to church, she doesn't want me to come visit with her during the week. So I have to check and see if she comes to church, because she doesn't call me. Like, some Saturdays I'm not there,
right,
and I don't know, so I gotta guess.
well, see, I drove school bus with her, and she was visiting before church started, and she's going there late, she has a time for a.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And so she was getting ready to go
Yes.
to open up.
Right, so then during the summer, I don't worry about it, because she's probably at the.
Right.
Just rather, it's very strange how, I'm trying to figure out if she's in church or not. I wish she just would call me and say, come or not come, but I gotta,
Well, we have a strange relationship, Barb and I, so goes way back.
Yes.
So it just,
but yes, she enjoys coming on Saturday.
yeah,
And I said, if you come and you want me to come by, then that's fine, I don't. And so that was the plan, but then I gotta figure out if she's been there on Saturday. And then it is it the Saturday before I go visit you, or is it 2 Saturdays before? Or anytime during that month before, do I not come, or do I come? It's just kind of and she doesn't really, so it's a guessing. So, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has unique ones.
yeah.
Are they ever good to
So that's 35, 40. I mean, the people who have shifted it from the morning services to the Saturday, it's on Sunday here.
What, how is the attendance on Saturday night?
It's down a little bit now, but we kind of expect that with confirmation. I mean, this month is kind of a strange month, so. We were averaging about 120. So it was there, now it's been under 100, but, and we won't know what the summer brings, because we've never done it before, so we'll just have to wait and see. I know, yep. So really, we gotta do it a year to find out what's the ebb and flow with that.
We enjoy the Saturday night.
I don't think it's going away. I think it's gonna
But then we watch Worship Anew then on Sunday. They have a different minister Sunday.
I never heard of
I
him
never
before.
have either.
Shoemaker's on.
I thought it said it was from Roanoke.
Yes, he did.
John Younger, John J, it was J-O-N-K-E-R.
Yes. Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
And I've never seen, heard from anybody.
Yeah, I don't know what the connection is,
Okay.
so.
To be part of, so,
Get that whole conversation.
we don't.